A new year has arrived. What's your resolution for 2024? How about making sure the roof over your head is well taken care of? Riverland Roofing is here for all your roofing needs. Whether it's an inspection, a new roof, or a maintenance program, Riverland Roofing has you covered home or business to give you peace of mind in the new year. As a GAF Master Elite contractor, they can offer warranties that last a lifetime. Riverland Roofing is licensed and insured to service Mississippi and its surrounding states. So give Riverland Roofing a call today and make sure you and yours are protected all year round. Call Riverland Roofing at 662-644-4297. That's 662-644-4297. Visit them online at riverlandroofing.com, riverlandroofing.com. It's Riverland Roofing for all of your roofing needs, a proud sponsor of the Talk of Champions podcast network.
Welcome in to Not Committed. I'm your host, Zach Berry. Join me, as he always does each and every time, Mr. Ben Garrett of the Ole Miss Spirit. We both write for the Ole Miss Spirit. You can read all of the transfer portal, recruiting news, updates, intel at omspirit.com. Affiliate of On3. Welcome in, Ben. Good morning.
Good morning. Well, afternoon. It's little after 1 p.m. on January 16th, 2024. Still icy conditions outside here in North Mississippi, in Nashville as well. Y'all have snow and things. Is it fun having the kids and building snowmen and snow angels, or are you kind of over it already?
We did a full snow day yesterday. Honestly, it was good snow for like snowboarding or skiing. Wasn't good for snowmen, snowball fights. It's just a little bit too powdery, which is not bad. But yesterday was fun. Nice little holiday. We had a couple families in the neighborhood. We all kind of got together one house and cooked a bunch of stuff, drank a bunch of stuff. Kids got to play, so it was a good time. Day 2, getting into day 3, I'm over it.
That's what I figured.
I'm ready for school to get back open. It's probably different for you because your kids are older. Mine can only entertain themselves for so long, and then it just becomes a game of which parent can be annoyed the most. But it's fine. We're good.
I can tell it's fine as you throw a Zen in as we start. You sip, not angrily. It's more like in resignation of your situation. Take a deep breath, and you're ready to podcast now. Ole Miss podcast, talk about some Ole Miss recruiting. There you go. We'll knock you out of that funk then. We'll save you from yourself. And, well, not really from yourself, I guess. It's just your children being at home and wanting daddy to be with them all the time and doing everything for them. I get it. Mine are older, and they don't like to go outside and spend that much time when the windshield falls much below like 40 degrees. So fortunately for me, whenever we go outside, the first thing they say is, all right, when are we going back inside? And then I inevitably make it into my little office here and call you and say, hey, you want a podcast about things that are happening? And here we are.
Yeah. All jokes aside, it's fine. They're just, I guess it could be worse. Like, I guess they could just not want to hang out with me. I mean, that time's coming at some point where they don't think dad is fun.
No, my 11-year-old is there. I assure you. She says she loves me unconditionally and that I'm still her best friend, and that's all great. But, buddy, when we went to a birthday party recently for one of her friends at an ice skating rink, the minute we walked through those double doors, I no longer existed.
Yeah.
And it's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I got to watch her be a person with her friends. But I do miss the building of snowmen, even with snow that doesn't really pack for snowmen, and doing the whole, snow angel stuff. My girls know they freeze to death. They did want to go down the slide in the backyard. They always want to do that when something comes out of the air, be it ice or snow. If it's cold and it makes it white, they want to slide down the slide for the first time or only time all year, and they did that. So, hey, mission accomplished. Mama got the video for Facebook and the gram. All good. We did our Snowmageddon 2024.
Yesterday was a full day. I would say we're going to get to recruiting. Just bear with us. We're just two dads hashing it out about being locked inside. But
See,
I
I'm
was
good.
saying,
The problem is Zach. You can just tell. Look at it. He's wearing it on his face. I can just see it.
look,
You've been through it.
it wasn't even 9 a.m. and we're yelling about ice cream. So
Mm,
it's been a day.
yeah.
But I was saying the snow days are similar to the beach, but without like the return. Because the beach with kids, I've said this for years now. Going to the beach with little kids, that's not a vacation. That's work. You're working the entire time. Unless they're asleep, you're working. But at least at the beach, when you get there, it's like, all right, we're going to be here for like 5 or 6 hours. Like everybody, get your fun in. Snow, like getting them dressed, getting yourself bundled up, getting out there. We had like a wagon to pull the little one in. I mean, because we got close to 7 inches. So, I mean, it's coming up to like her waist.
That's what she
But
said.
but like the snow is just like you get out there and it's like, okay, we're like an hour,
Mm.
maybe 2 hours, like we're done. So at least with the beach, like there's no return with the snow day, with like all the build up and getting the kids dressed and bundled up. Trying to get kids to put gloves on with fingers, uh, dude, it's so. Anyway, let's get to recruiting because look,
Yes.
it's currently 18 degrees outside here in Nashville.
And you
Like I
got to go
said,
back out. You need like
close to close to 7 inches of snow, but
mm,
the complete opposite for Ole Miss recruiting right now. Red hot, baby. Look at that transition.
mhm,
Um,
on fire.
you talked about it yesterday while I was dealing with children about Yam Banks and Daquan Wright. Ole Miss, checkbox there. Both of them came in. Ole Miss was looking to get commitments from both. That was achieved. They were big, but now we are turning our attention to more portal targets as Ole Miss is going to continue to plug away to add depth, add impact guys at positions of need. Let's start here. He already visited. Everything went well. Visits typically go well. They very rarely suck. But there's a connection there. Kendrick Blackshire, the Alabama linebacker, he's from Duncanville, Texas. Pete Golding recruited him to Alabama. They have a tight-knit relationship. I was trying to figure it out before we hit record. I think Lane Kiffin is in the Duncanville area today, possibly doing some kind of follow-up with Blackshire, who went to Austin after the Ole Miss visit. I know our buddies over at Inside Texas, sources feel pretty good. They put in a RPM prediction for Blackshire to pick the Longhorns. I have not heard any wiggle off of the confident feeling the Ole Miss staff had after his visit. He didn't commit while on his visit to Texas. It's been a couple days. We'll see. Maybe that's what Lane Kiffin's doing in Dallas today. But yeah, he was a guy that went viral in high school. I mean, the dude looked like an Under Armour mannequin at Dick's Sporting Goods when he was like a freshman. Played on a really good Duncanville team. That's a phenomenal program in the Dallas area. They churn out a ton of talent. Kind of dealt with some injuries at Alabama, played some special teams, got to play, kind of in some garbage time. But look, at the end of the day, he would be an excellent addition. Ole Miss is not nearly as deep as the Crimson Tide. So yeah, that I would say probably leaning towards Texas, but I don't know for sure. I haven't talked to Lane this morning or this afternoon. Could be why he is in Texas today to try to combat the momentum.
It's encouraging that he didn't commit while he was in Austin. It is encouraging. He's a
Yeah,
Texas kid, and Texas was considered
because
the
these portal
favorite.
guys, they don't want to waste time. They just want to get it done, get enrolled. Yeah.
Yeah. And now's the time. We're talking about January 16th there. It's not just Ole Miss. Ole Miss starts classes on the 22nd. A lot of schools have already started classes. This is go time if you're trying to get
Yeah.
in and participate in spring practices. It's not like they have much wiggle room left. These next couple of
Yeah.
weeks are it. So
Because the other Texas portal guys are enrolled. Like they're already in. Like
yeah.
they're moving and shaking. I don't know because I looked up the academic calendar for Ole Miss. So the 21st is the last day to officially cancel registration. February 2nd is the last day to register or add classes. There's some wiggle room for football players. Let's not be,
Yeah.
let's not be obtuse here. But yeah, the clock is ticking. So if you want to get in, like you said, for spring practice, you gotta make a move.
And that's why we're paying attention to a couple of things. First and foremost, Deion Smith. He hasn't gotten his academics done yet in order to enroll for the spring semester. So he might have to finish up academic coursework over the course of the spring and then enroll at Ole Miss in May. That could be, or maybe is the likely scenario right now. But before anybody goes out there and freaks, worst case is Deion Smith arrives at Ole Miss in May. I don't think there's going to be any issue of whether or not Deion Smith is going to be catching passes for Ole Miss in 2024.
Yeah, I think his class ends the 18th.
Yeah.
So I would imagine that's when the final is. But yeah, I mean, I haven't heard. I don't know if you have. I don't think anyone's heard. I don't think it's like, well, it's just going terribly. He's not going to pass it. I mean, it's just he's just got to pass the final, and then it's I wouldn't say pass fail, but it's basically like you either get it done or you don't. So it's either you're in for spring or you just wait for the summer. So this is just a timing thing. This isn't like if he doesn't do it, then he's out. Like, no, it's just a timing thing.
Yeah, and I've seen it on message boards, our message board at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and affiliate of On 3. Sign up today for the low price of $1. We talk and write Ole Miss sports all day, every day. And it's not just football recruiting. It's football, basketball recruiting, baseball, things that are Ole Miss related, semi-related to Ole Miss that we decide to talk about on that day. Check us out at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and affiliate of On 3, $1 to sign up. $1. Come hang out with us and talk with us all day. Yeah, it's not a matter of if he's going to show up, Deion Smith. It's when. And if it's May, so be it. It's May. It's not ideal, but this is a player that played meaningful snaps as a true freshman at LSU and then turned around and was a JUCO All-American for 2 years at Holmes. This is not like, or for a year at Holmes. This is not like Ole Miss has to get him acclimated to this way of doing things. It does, but it's not like he's going to have the same kind of, pathway as a high school or a new ad that's coming in green as can be to try to figure things out. Deion Smith's going to figure it out pretty quick. So that's what I'm paying attention to right now. Guys like that. Does Deion Smith get in? Tyler Barron, who Ole Miss has been trying to hold off Louisville for, does he? We heard he'd been shopping recently for a house. And is he gotten a house? Is he in town? We know he's in town, but is he good? Is he enrolled? Because there's nothing binding these schools. I mean, these players to these schools. Only thing that binds anybody to anything is school to the player with financial grant aid. So that's what we're paying attention to, man. That's I will say though that portal wise, what they're going after right now is really interesting to me. And I know you've been covering it like crazy, but thinking about what they could continue to potentially add on. Ole Miss has got the number 3 class according to On 3, the number 1 class according to average player rating. My question to you is, who do you honestly think is now atop the board since Yam Banks is now in the boat? Daquan Wright, the tight end from Virginia Tech, is now in the boat. Is it Ricks from Alabama? Because now you're seeing out there that what was widely assumed to be Texas A&M the minute he got in, well, now he's canceling his LSU visit after visiting Texas A&M and could be visiting one or both of Oregon and Ole Miss. And Ole Miss, if you really want to break it down hardcore, there's one position where they could still add real impact, and that's at cornerback. That is as impact gets.
Yeah, it starts with a Morian Walker. I think it's just a matter of time. And look, that dude dealt with injuries. The Michigan staff, I talked with people at the Michigan site, top to bottom. I mean, rave reviews. They expected him to contend to be the starting cornerback for that defense. Had some injuries that popped up. He was in a walking boot, missed 4 games in 2023. But I mean, the proof is there. Bruce Feldman listed him on his freaks list for 2023. He is just an athletic. I mean, he's the guy that NFL scouts in a couple of years. If it's Ole Miss, wherever he ends up, people will go to his pro day just to see, like, I want to hand time his 40. I want to hand time his 3-cone. I want to see him vertically jump. He's a freak. I mean, Feldman does some extensive research on that, and there's a reason he's on that list.
His 3-cone is, I think, would have been the fastest at last
ever.
year's NFL fastest ever. Okay, well,
Yeah,
definitely last year's combine then. And Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was a first rounder, ran the fastest, and his eclipsed that pretty easily. And then
we know Ole Miss fans love a 3-cone.
Oh yeah, I know. The first response I think I saw on the Ole Miss Spirit message board was something along the lines of, "I hate the 3-cone because of what it did to DK," which is completely reasonable. If you're an Ole Miss fan, why wouldn't you hate the 3-cone? It dropped DK to the last pick in the second round. That freak of nature of a wide receiver. Now, injury concerns were more important than the 3-cone, but still, I mean, like his neck injury in college at Ole Miss, there was a thought there that was career ending when it happened. There were people.
He played half a quarter after it happened.
Yeah, because he's a machine. Athletes operate on a different level of being as far as physicality, man. I mean, like
we're not all built the same.
The minute I poured some ant poison out in my yard the other day, my back went out, and I went, "Oh yeah, you're gonna die one day." Meanwhile, DK Metcalf is playing for, playing contact football at one of its highest levels with a neck injury that many thought if he took another wrong hit, it'd be a wrap for him. Like he couldn't play it anymore. It was just a risk to his health. And here he is, the 3-cone. But speaking of Walker, his 3-cone was insane. Like would have beaten or would have been just behind maybe Brandon Cooks's 3-cone at the 2014 combine, which was like 3.81. His was 3.89. I might have my numbers mixed up a little bit.
Let me
His
pull it up.
40 time was a 4.39. This is true juice and upside.
Okay.
I mean, this is, to me, this is the most one of the most enticing potential pickups Ole Miss has had in the portal all year.
So he arrived at Michigan at 156 pounds.
He's playing wide receiver.
He's now 180. His 3-cone was 610. The strength coach, Ben Herbert at Michigan, said, quote, "It's the fastest time I've ever seen and likely the fastest I will ever see."
Yep.
It was a full half-second faster than Jackson Smith and Jigba, who was the fastest at the combine last spring. It would also blow away the combine record of 6.42 set 12 years ago by Oregon's Jeff Mayle. Shout out to Jeff Mayle. He was a dude. His 3.89 shuttle would have been tops at the combine. Smith and Jigba ran a 3.93. Brandon Cook ran a 3.81 in 2014. That's the record. So he was, yeah.
I mean, the kid has crazy juice. And I mean,
vertical's 42.5 inches, just 11.4 broad jump. And like you said, 4.34. He's a guy that you just get him on campus and just figure it the hell out. Like he's a freak.
It's the lottery ticket that every school wants to buy, because when and if it hits, the upside is crazy. You're talking about a first round pick. You're talking about a first round pick at a premium position at cornerback. If he hits, now he's still not that yet. He's all oozing upside, but Ole Miss has sure things. I mean, I think one thing, if you look at Ole Miss's portal class, which in my opinion is the best in the country, of the 4 major recruiting services, On3 is I think the only one that doesn't have the number one. Maybe there's, I don't know if Rivals does those kind of rankings or not, but 247 has Ole Miss number 1. On3 has Ole Miss number 3 behind Louisville and Colorado, but each of Louisville and Colorado have 22 transfer additions apiece, while Ole Miss only has 14. And like I said, the quality, the average player rating is far and away in Ole Miss's favor. They're number 1 in the country in the 80s. The quality is insane, and that's why you've seen, like at the Ole Miss Spirit, OleMissSpirit.com, and Fit on 3, Pete Nako say that Ole Miss has put together one of the best transfer classes in years. And considering that transfer classes really only came around in 2020, we can then say one of the best transfer classes ever as far as quality. But there's one thing that when you talk to next level evaluators about it, that they say is it's not like Ole Miss is out there signing a bunch of future first round NFL draft picks. They're really good players, but Tyler Barron, Princely Umon Mielen has really high next level upside. But Tyler Barron, Trey Harris, even Jordan Watkins, all these guys, they're next level players. But Ole Miss isn't adding a top 10 pick in Princely Umanmielen. Maybe he turns into that, but you know what you're getting in these guys, and that's really good football players. But for the next level, when you're talking about the Walker kid, it's all about next level what he could be. So Ole Miss is solid across the board. You're going to win a lot of games next year, but NFL next level upside, they don't have a ton of it still. They really don't. Walker, he's oozing. I mean, he's nothing but upside really because his production is limited. It's productive, but it's still limited. So to me, of all the players we've talked about going on 2, 3, 4 months now, he's one of my favorites because as Bruce Feldman, our buddy Bruce, wrote on The Athletic, the freak traits are just insane.
Yeah. Also, a couple other new names to know. Washington center Parker Brailsford, 2 years with the Huskies. Didn't see any action during his freshman year, but in 2023, I mean, just announced himself and then some. Played first 2 games, started at right guard, and then played the final 13 at center. He was on that elite group up front that won the Joe Moore Award, which is given to the best offensive line in the country. Really, really, really solid center. Kind of pretty damn good at both. He's not a pass blocker, run block specialist. He's pretty solid at both. Washington only allowed 12 sacks in 15 games this season. We all know about Michael Penix and the rest of that offense and how good it was. He was a big part of that. I was told Ole Miss is making contact with him. They're talking with him today. I would imagine a visit or something along those lines. It's trying to be worked out. He's originally from Arizona. I would probably suspect that, I don't know if Arizona's in the mix, anybody else out west, but I know Ole Miss is very interested. I think Ole Miss is wanting to bring in an instant impact guy to push everybody in that room, but also to try to solidify an offensive line that has added some big pieces. And, I mean, honestly, on the offensive side of the football, Ben, I think the O-line's probably the biggest question mark right now heading into 2024. Not because they're not good or not proven or inexperienced. I think it's just they're one elite guy away from really, really, really being a potential special group in 2024.
Well, one thing that Ole Miss, its work it did before Christmas, what it's done for now, is there's nothing pressing left on the board. Back a couple years ago, Ole Miss was still looking for its quarterback, and that's when the whole Jackson Dart, Michael Trigg recruitment that was so crazy to follow kind of happened. I mean, that bled into late January, and ultimately both kids ended up at Ole Miss. But Ole Miss isn't out there necessarily big ticket hunting for a particular position, a guy that has to step in and start there. Ole Miss has done all of that heavy lifting, all of that legwork, and they did a lot of it or most all of it as far as the portal before Christmas. So now, because some funds that were originally allocated elsewhere have become available at a non-premium position, Ole Miss can then go about its roster like filling its needs wherever it sees fit. Ole Miss isn't going to turn away good players. Anytime a kid of consequence gets into the portal now, the Ricks kid from Alabama, who would be Ole Miss's best cornerback the minute he stepped on campus, he would start and be probably, you're talking about NFL next players, their best NFL prospect the minute he stepped foot on campus. Whoever it might be, you're going to always see Ole Miss mentioned as an option or brought up by the kid because Ole Miss is actively engaging with all of these players because it can. When you're in a position of being a good team just trying to be better, that's what you do. Good teams don't turn away good players. That's why Dabo Swinney has regressed as far as his overall career track because he didn't embrace the portal. So now he's celebrating the Music City Bowl like he is a national championship. While Ole Miss is going into 2024 better position than Clemson to be a playoff and national championship contender. So Ole Miss deserves a ton of credit for what it's gotten done. and what it's going to continue to do. And I think what's really exciting about this time in the portal cycle, this January ice storm, snowmageddon 2024 period of the portal cycle. I think what's the most exciting thing is that Ole Miss can just go add talent where it wants to. So the options then are limitless. Yeah, they could still add at linebacker, but see, we're nitpicking when they go, oh yeah, they got to
the limit. The limit does not exist.
The limit does not exist. I mean, Ole Miss has money, Ole Miss has organization, and Ole Miss has proof of concept as being probably the most successful writ large of any other program in terms of the embrace of the transfer culture and what it can be in terms of on-field success. Right?
Yeah.
I mean, it looks different. It is different. It's modern. It's the modernization of a program that was proactive and not reactive. So my hat's off to them because this is now the best part of the whole thing. There's no God. If Ole Miss doesn't get Dylan Gabriel, they're going to win only 6 games, 7 games. Who's going to be the quarterback? That's not where this offseason is. This offseason is like, all right, now where can they really farm it up to make it even more, of a sure thing that they're going to be in that playoff conversation from Jump Street.
Yeah.
You know?
I mean, they're in it. I've seen.
Oh yeah.
I've seen some ridiculous early playoff predictions, and Ole Miss isn't included, but LSU is. Explain that. Don't understand it.
What would it take then? Ole Miss won 11 games for the first time in its history, went to its second New Year's Six Bowl, and beat Penn State for the first time in the first meeting of those programs all time. Beat them pretty bad too. Yeah, they were missing a lot of key players, but Ole Miss was missing key players too.
It was an ass beating.
They beat them.
The final score is not indicative of how that game went.
Penn State will be preseason top 10 next year. They always are, seemingly, right? What does Ole Miss have to do? What else does it have to add to get that person then to take them seriously? At this point, if you're not including Ole Miss in your projected 12, it's foolish. It's just bad, analyzing, bad analysis if you're not putting them in. What's the justification? What then? All right, so if they go and add another lineman, if they go get Ricks from Alabama, are they suddenly now a top 5 team for this preseason projection? I don't understand what the criteria is. So, I'm at right now, because somebody in our YouTube comments, they came in and they go, what are y'all talking about? Quinshon Judkins not being here. That's going to obviously hurt Ole Miss, and they're going to have to do this, blah, blah, blah. Maybe you're right. Maybe losing Quinshon, he was that kind of generational talent. Or maybe he really was a devalued position and a player that Ole Miss went above and beyond for and just decided, you know what? We all got a limit here. So they're just shoring up where they can with money that they didn't think was going to be there. That sounds more reasonable to me than anything else.
I don't understand how you don't at least include Ole Miss in the top 12.
That's what I'm saying.
When they were a top 10 team after the 2023 season. They virtually returned everybody outside of Quinshon Judkins and a couple folks. But at all the positions that truly matter, Ole Miss has either brought experienced starters back or they've added experienced starters from Power 5 teams at premium positions of need.
Either they're bringing their best player back at that position, or they're bringing their best player back and added the best player from the portal to that position.
Mm-hmm.
So,
I mean, Walter Nolan, Princely Mamiellan, and Tyler Barron, that's 3 NFL caliber players added to a defensive line room that is already really damn good.
That finished in the top 25 in ESPN's F&P rankings in Pete Golding's first year, and just hired away from Cincinnati, Louisville, Brian Brown, an accomplished defensive coordinator, to strengthen or shore up this staff even more. It's the best staff Ole Miss has ever had. It's the best roster top to bottom Ole Miss has ever had. It's the best consistent success Ole Miss has ever had on the field in the modern era. They have now won 11 games for the first time ever. They've won 10 games or more twice in 4 years. In each of the last 3 years, they've been ranked in the top 10 at some point. Yes, the year before last, the finish was bad. It was bad. But
Mhm.
you take that out and all the crap that came with it, Ole Miss under Lane Kiffin is operating as one of the 12, easily as one of the 12 best teams in college football.
Yeah.
Ole Miss, as far as the NIL and collective organization, top 12. It's malpractice from an analysis standpoint to not include them.
Yeah.
It simply shows you're biased at that point. That's all it does to me. But again, people will say, well,
I mean,
you're
we
just
could,
saying this because you're the Ole Miss homer, which is perfectly fine. It's more than reasonable.
hey,
Yes,
both things can be true.
sure. I will
And I don't,
acknowledge that, though. Like, I will say, yes, I might be a bit defensive about not including Ole Miss. Maybe make your argument then. Show me where LSU on paper then is better than Ole Miss
yeah.
or is more worthy of being included. There isn't one. There isn't a defense to be made.
Let's segue here in our final portal target that I brought up today in our intel piece. You can read that at ohmspirit.com. And I do want to, make sure to mention this. Like, if you're seeing these predictions and you are just you're to the point where your health is potentially failing you because you cannot fathom why Ole Miss is not a top 12 team in the preseason in January, which, look, none of this matters. It's just clickbait at this point to do all these predictions. But maybe your blood pressure is getting a little high. Maybe you're a little stressed. Maybe, maybe cholesterol is getting a little dicey because you're locked in the house with snow. If you do need to talk to your health insurance folks, maybe you're trying to cut those premiums down. You want to do it 20 to 30%. You can talk to Drew Moak at USA Benefits Group. You can give him a call, 601-953-8449. He's an Ole Miss grad. He's located in Mississippi, and he's licensed in 7 states, so he can help you out wherever you might be. Works with the nation's second largest health insurance brokerage, access to 35 different carriers, so the options are aplenty. He can help you with regular health plans, life insurance, dental, vision, Medicare, all of that. Call him today. Check out the website, usabg.com/DMOAK. Get your free quote today. That's Drew Moak and USA Benefits Group. We were talking cornerback, Dezz Ricks. He is still in College Station. I expect him to pick A&M. They're the heavy favorite. I know Ole Miss is trying to work some kind of visit, trying to get in the game. The Aggies were the heavy favorite before he entered the portal. Once it got to that point where he was contemplating, I think that's the possible destination. Look, I'm not going to count out Lane Kiffin and Pete Golding at this point because, look, they've pretty much gotten almost everybody that they have tried to get in the portal. But Trey Amos is another cornerback along with Marion Walker that I would keep an eye on. Played at Alabama, started his career at Louisiana, played in 14 games this season for Alabama. He was basically the third corner behind Kool-Aid McKinstry and Terry and Arnold. Played a lot of nickel backs. He was a versatile, athletic guy. We talk all the time about Pete Golding. He loves the positionless football, loves the versatility of guys to be able to move around. I know Ole Miss is having conversations with him. We'll see how quickly that will move. But obviously the Louisiana connection there with Golding, he's familiar with Amos, and I'd imagine, and I don't think this is an either or. I think Ole Miss would like to add Marion Walker and Trey Amos to a cornerback room that is pretty stocked up right now with Taz Nicholson. People forget about Chris Graves, the Miami transfer that played a lot towards the end of the year. I expect him to be a big factor in the rotation in 2024. And then Trey Washington's another guy that's super versatile. They move him around a lot. Ole Miss is losing DeAndre Prince, Dejon Anthony, and Deshaun Gaddy and Zamari Walton, but they're going to continue to revamp that room. And yeah, I mean, they added some versatile pieces and safeties, and Lewis Moore, Yam Banks, Key Lawrence. the secondary room has added a bunch of talent, but they're going to continue to push for more. And I think Marion Walker and Trey Amos are just as good a place to start as any when trying to add more talent and depth. So that's kind of it right now as far as the targets to know. Check us out. It's $1 to join. If you're not a member, we've got transfer portal intel. We got basketball. We got some stuff about baseball as it's around the corner. We'll have all the portal recruiting stuff as coaches are out recruiting 2025. Portal is hot and heavy. We'll have it all. omspirit.com.
This podcast is also brought to you in part by the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation. 2024 football season tickets are available now for new season ticket holders or renewal for season ticket holders. Men's and women's basketball have started conference play. SEC mini plans and single game tickets are still available for both men's and women's basketball. And the champions now plan giving, Vault Society, give if you can. Men's and women's tennis have also got upcoming matches at home later this month. Tickets are not required. And Morgan Wallen tickets can also still be purchased at OleMissTix.com. That's OleMissTix.com for his show in April. That's the Ole Miss Athletics Foundation, another proud sponsor of this #NotCommitted and all of our great Talk of Champions podcast network shows like the Flagship.
Check us out, omspirit.com. That is going to do it for Not Committed. Careful out there. If you have to travel, be cautious. Go slow. Ole Miss basketball Wednesday. Rebs try to move to, 16-1?
Yep.
Yeah, hell of a start. Until next time, we out of here.